Om Vishwam Darpan Drishyamana Nagari Tulyan Nijantargatam Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahirivodbhutai Yatha Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Svatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namahidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Bijasyantarivangkuro Jagadidam Prangnirvikalpam Punaha Maya Kalpita Deshakala Kalana Vaichitra Chetri Kritam Maya Viva Vidrumbhayatyapi Mahayogi Vayasvechaya Tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namahidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande So third verse. Lokesmin dvividha nishta Pura prokta mayanaga Jnana yogena sankhyana Karma yogena yoginam So Bhagavan revealed two lifestyles for two different groups of people. And one lifestyle, a lifestyle of sannyasa, in which there is a total commitment to knowledge. As such, also in world we find there are only two things to achieve anything. One is jnanam, knowledge. Second is karma. And human being is endowed with jnana shakti, power to know, and power to act, by which he can achieve. So here also we are going to achieve something. The pursuit is pursuit of moksha. But one lifestyle is such in which there is a total commitment to knowledge, like you all have right now. Right now, to the exclusion of the activity, you are now committed to knowledge, right now. But in a sannyasi's life, there is a total commitment, not for 1 hour or something. We have certain duties to perform, etc. And so, we are not totally committed to knowledge. So that is another lifestyle, where both the things are there. It's a pursuit of same, pursuit of moksha only. But there is activity also, because we need. Karma can help you to make you prepare for knowledge. And therefore it gives a certain preparedness. There is a role of karma. So there is another lifestyle in which person has both the things. Jnanam, pursuit of knowledge, as well as karma yoga. One is doing a karma with a certain attitude behind. And Arjuna definitely is a karma yogi because he is right there. He has to perform his duty as a kshatriya. And therefore, definitely, and there is a pursuit of knowledge. Bhagavan gave knowledge also. He asked for the means for the shreyas, etc. And Bhagavan said very clearly, well, knowledge alone can give this freedom from sorrow, etc., samsara. And therefore, there is a pursuit of knowledge also. At the same time, Bhagavan tells him to fight. Means Bhagavan wants that, well, you are not in a position where you can totally commit yourself to knowledge, because there are certain, in fact, in 12 years before he came here, they were in incognito. That time he nourished, in fact. He was not, otherwise those 12 years was almost like a life of knowledge it could have been, but it was not. He has certain raga, dveshas, etc., and therefore he should definitely prepare himself for this knowledge. And so Bhagavan revealed to him that definitely, ultimately, the shreyas is a goal, freedom is a goal, and knowledge alone is required. But definitely you need a karma to do, with a certain attitude, an attitude of a duty, etc. You are placed in a certain position, and where it is called for a duty, and so you are supposed to, and it's a dharma yuddha, etc. You are going to be protecting a dharma, etc. So anyway, so this is how one who has the goal of moksha, for him there is a karma yoga. Preparedness is for knowledge. Knowledge gives moksha. Everything is clear. Otherwise, there is no karma yoga. There is only karma. There is only karma. Person can be karmatha. That's how people are. We may be doing our all actions based on with a certain attitude, because we want to prepare ourselves. We want to neutralize ragadvesha, prepare ourselves. What happens is ragadvesha basically keeps the mind very disturbed, anxious. And therefore, one will not be able to receive the knowledge properly. And in case if you receive, you will not be able to retain it also. And if you have retained, you will not be able to assimilate it also. Therefore, ultimately, you have to prepare your mind in such a way it should be free from ragadvesha, and also vikshepa. Yesterday we talked about. Mind doesn't have that focusing capacity also. Vikshepa is there. Even if ragadveshas are neutralized, still mind wanders from one object to another object. So we need a certain focusing capacity. Or for that only these ashramas, etc. we talked about. So anyway, so these two lifestyles are very much there for the same goal. Same goal. Sannyas is also, well, gaining knowledge, committed to knowledge, gain shreyas. This karma yogi also, who is also, he has a pursuit of knowledge, and also there is a karma yoga. And as he, through the karma yoga, well, becomes free from the hold. We should not say free from ragadvesha. It is almost impossible kind of a thing. Free from the hold of ragadvesha. Yeah. There are certain preferences. There are certain likes and dislikes. They remain, but they don't bother if you fulfill. Or if you fulfill, fine. If you don't fulfill, they don't bother you. That kind of a thing. So one should, that is the mind which is prepared mind. So anyway, and as this karma yogi prepares his mind through karma yoga, and also he has a pursuit of knowledge, well, even in the same life, ultimately, well, he will drop karma yoga then, because it has served the purpose. He may not take even a formal sannyasa, but definitely now he is able to gain the knowledge. He has gained the preparedness. So being grastha itself, now he has a total commitment to knowledge. He's a sannyasi. Could you follow what I am saying? Therefore, we should not have this confusion. Well, gaining this kind of a lifestyle, former sannyasa only gives moksha, etc., knowledge, etc. No. And that's how there is a description of a grastha jnani so much, even in Bhagavad Gita also. And even in Vamsha Brahmana, in a Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where they have shown the lineage of the teacher, student, etc. Vamsha, lineage. There, most of the teachers, or they were disciples before, of course, most of them were grihastha. You should see that. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad it is there. So just gaining, taking a formal sannyasa means gaining. That kind of a thing is there. If you want moksha, well, one should take sannyasa. There is a apatata sannyasa also. A sannyasa which is taken under a certain emergency. Apata. Yeah. Because, a person, and we know certain person who has, Puja Swamiji gave this sannyasa, apata sannyasa. Well, you know it, the life is going to end very soon now. And then, the purpose of life is ultimately moksha. You have not acquired knowledge, etc. Well, then what should I do? The person takes sannyasa, thinking that if I take this formal sannyasa, I will definitely gain moksha. I will be free. I will not have a next birth, etc. It's that kind of a thing going on. But really speaking, this is not true. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan very clearly said, yes, a committed lifestyle to knowledge is sannyasa. That could be as a grihastha, or that could be with a formal sannyasa. Taking formal sannyasa, also a person may not commit himself to knowledge, may be committing to various other things. Then that is really not helpful. So anyway, this is how Bhagavan described these two types of lifestyle for two different groups of people. The people who have neutralized their raga dveshas, their minds are ready, they can commit themselves totally to the knowledge. And the persons who have a certain raga dveshas, etc., but at the same time they have a value for the moksha, and they know the knowledge gives moksha, and therefore they are pursuing knowledge also, but at the same time preparing themselves, well, then this is a different group of people. So this is how it has been said. And yesterday we were saying that these two lifestyles are in accordance with the Vedic scheme of ashrama. I was talking. And it is so wonderful. First thing is, you should know that scheme. Varnashrama scheme, you should know. Means what is the goal of life, one should know. This moksha is a goal we were not knowing in the world. If you are exposed to Vedanta or the Shastra, then you come to know that there is a goal, which is, even though you are really seeking a freedom, but that freedom is called moksha, etc., and the means is knowledge, etc., that you all come through know the Shastra. So this is called a life of brahmachari, where you know, and then what preparedness is required, because every knowledge requires certain preparedness. And therefore, you should prepare yourself for that. But what preparations are required? Again, you come to know through Shastra, right? So all these things, and then there is ashrama vyavastha. Well, there are stages of life where a person grows at every stage, and ultimately will be able to achieve. Person becomes more and more emotionally mature, actually. That is the required. There are two types of maturity. One is a physical maturity, which comes, just you eat and jump around, and one day you have a mustache. So it is a physical maturity. It doesn't take much. I mean, without a big will on your part, it comes in a natural process. But then emotional maturity one has to initiate, and one is given free will, so one can initiate, one need not initiate. Person can remain emotionally immature, with even physical maturity also. So there is something called emotional maturity, in which you are able to handle your likes and dislikes, attachment, aversions, etc. Emotional maturity means you will be becoming slowly free from the hang-up, emotional hang-up. That's it. That's it. A child is very emotionally immature. Adult, emotionally adult means what? He is able to handle his own emotions. He doesn't have a hang-up. Yesterday I was talking about, so there is no leaning so far as attachment, etc. is a leaning, I told you yesterday. So he is becoming free. So anyway, life of brahmachari is ultimately he understands the whole scheme, and then he implements the scheme. That's called grihasthashrama. Implementing. Very first thing is you have to prepare yourself. One is born with raga dvesha naturally, because ultimate the cause is the self-ignorance. So it's a part of the thing, in fact. One should not condemn oneself. One should definitely, with a alertness, try to address these issues. That's it. Anyway, so then you implement. You prepare yourself. How will you prepare? Well, prepare yourself means neutralizing raga dvesha. How will you prepare? Well, through karma yoga. So that's how grasthashram is a life of karma yoga. We say karmashrama, that's okay initially. But later, as you fulfill raga dveshas, you will see that they themselves are obstacles. In fact, we are nourishing our own enemies. Like that you will realize later. And therefore, you take care of them. So, karma yoga. Life of karma yoga is grasthashram. And as you neutralize raga dvesha, then definitely you find that there is still one more obstacle. And that is the obstacle of wandering. Mind just wanders, not able to focus. Mind doesn't have yet abiding capacity, which is very much essential for retaining knowledge, etc. And therefore, you employ a means. That's also given by the same Veda, and that's called upasana, meditations. It's a part of Veda only. So that's how we say Veda has three portions: karma, kanda, upasana, and jnanam. So this is a life of. So more you are addressing your. Let's say you are now a little introvert person. Vanaprastha means the external activity, etc. Karma yoga is now reduced because it has done its purpose. In a grasthashrama, you have grown now. And so in a vanaprastha, well, you address your mind now. If you want to acquire a certain focusing capacity, for that meditations are there. Japa, etc. can help the person very well. And the person also, even he lives where he is, he doesn't give up anything. When he is a married person, when both of them live as under one roof, same, but both are now, in their relationship, there is more of a friendship rather than husband-wife, etc. And even if you stay with other people, you don't basically interfere in the others' activities, etc. And so this is a life of, this is which is more introvert life, we can say. Anyway, so this is a third step. And now, well, what is left is one thing alone. As I told you yesterday, the separation between, or the distance between you and the goal, Shreya, moksha, is in terms of only ajnanam and what is born of ajnanam, that is ragadvesha and this vikshepa. So you have already taken care of a vikshepa through meditations. You have taken care of ragadvesha through karma yoga. Now only one obstacle is left, which separates you from your goal. Goal is Shreyas. Shreyas is nothing but the Atma or Brahman. I am limitless. There cannot be a distance between you and limitless. And if no special distance, no time-wise distance. The distance is in terms of ignorance only. And therefore, you take care of ignorance. You gain knowledge, which can get rid of this ignorance. So now you commit totally yourself to knowledge. That's a sannyasa. That is a sannyasa. So wherever you are, even certain times situation is such where one cannot take a formal sannyasa, but still karma has done its purpose, karma yoga has done its purpose, meditation is this purpose. So now, to the exclusion of that, you commit yourself to knowledge. That's a life of sannyasa. And where definitely you do not have now psychological dependencies, attachment, aversions have been taken care of, likes, dislikes have been taken care of. And so you totally are committed to this. Gains moksha. Because moksha is in terms of knowledge only. It's not that knowledge give rise to moksha. It's not a product, something. Knowledge, moksha is in form of knowledge. Knowledge means knowledge of what? Knowledge of the self. Knowledge of self gives moksha, yeah, because you are free already. Knowledge of the free self gives you freedom. You should know yourself that you are free. Because of the identification with the body, mind, sense, etc., you were feeling limited, bound, etc. Well, you have now taken care of. Then now, we are in the second line, there is a jnana yogena sankhyanam. So the sannyasis definitely commit themselves, they have committed lifestyle to knowledge. So naturally, question is, what do they do? What do they do in terms of gaining moksha? When you say, well, they acquire knowledge, but what do they do? Because it's a total commitment. Means we feel that to the exclusion of everything, if they are doing, really what are they doing? So then we have to see what is this jnana yoga. So there are three things in this. First is called shravanam, you know very well. Shravanam is nothing but basically, a reverential analysis of the Shastra, statements of the Upanishad, which is called, in Sanskritam they call it as a mimamsa. Pujita vicharaha. Mimamsa means an analysis. Analysis of the Vedic statements, Upanishadic statements. But that's called reverential, because naturally Veda is one which is reverential. Therefore, analysis of the Vedic statement is called reverential analysis. That is how it has been said. Reverential analysis of Vedic statements, Upanishadic statements, for what? Well, to arrive at the central theme of the Upanishad. Because Upanishad may be talking about certain upasanas, Upanishad talks about creation, etc. So then, definitely we feel Upanishad talks about the nature of the self also. Then what is the central purport, let us say, of this Shastra? And well, that's not only thing. The nature of the self, sometimes you find, Vasuprana Sayuja Sakaya. So we feel that Jiva and Ishvara are two different things or what? So this is, an analysis of Upanishadic statement is as much as required because there are parallel philosophies also based on this Upanishad Vakyas. There are Dvaita Acharyas who have interpreted Upanishadic statements in the form of the Jiva and Ishvara are different. Vishishadvaitin interpret differently, the Jiva is part of Ishvara, etc., etc. We say, well, Jiva is identical to Ishvara. There is no difference, separation, etc. between them. The difference is in terms of only ignorance, etc. And therefore, definitely analysis of this, like even Bhagavad Gita, several topics are there. Now, what is the central theme of this ultimately? Should be understood. So a student wants to understand, but then definitely he has to take help of the teacher. Teacher has a certain method, which we are not going into, but teacher employs a certain method to arrive at the central theme of the Upanishadic statement for student. Student is listening. That's how we call shravanam also. In fact, student is basically, studying, let us say. Listening means he is studying. And to arrive at this purport, it takes number of days or even years also to arrive at the central theme of this Upanishadic statements. So one has to study for a length of time, ultimately. And it has to be systematic, naturally. Then only you can arrive at this the purport of the Shastra. So this is called shravanam. But here there are certain doubts. Very first doubt is, should I study Shastra in order to know the self? Looks very absurd, basically. Because I want to know myself. To know myself, the means of knowledge which is available to me should be sufficient. Why should I look there? Outside. Looking outside, one cannot know oneself. So it's the first doubt. Should I employ the means of knowledge which is external, or the means of knowledge given to me, the senses, mind, etc.? And based on mind, there is inference, this, etc. All this is enough or not? I need not have to study anything. Well, they are not enough. Because the mind and senses, basically, they are able to know the things by objectification. They objectify. So, well, so far as the objective knowledge, etc. is concerned, well, they are the means. And it may require certain other means called scopes to enhance our perception, etc. But the self, which is never available for the objectification, where they fail. And therefore, to know the self, ultimately, we have to depend upon some external factor. Like one cannot see one's own face. You cannot turn your eyes and see your own face. To see your own face, well, you need an external means. Mirror. To see your own eyes. The eyes by which you see the entire world, well, will not be able to see your own face. Could you follow? Now, to see your own eyes, you need a mirror. Like that. So, basically, the eye, which is behind all the perception, etc., Shrotrasya Shrotram, Chakshusha Chakshuhu, Pranasya Prana, etc., etc., all are able to function ultimately because of the presence of consciousness. Anyway, and therefore, to know oneself, well, definitely you need some external means. And therefore, well, that is there. Okay, so means I should study. Fine. But before I study, oh Swami, you give guarantee that this will give me knowledge. That's another thing. Because I am investing my time, I am coming here in the camp, and you say you should study for a length of time and you should study systematically, means it requires more involvement, more commitment. So you should give guarantee that this gives me knowledge. Swami cannot give guarantee. To any means of knowledge, whether it is able to give knowledge or not, what will you do? Like, whether your eyes are able to see or not, what will you do? You have to employ eyes. Even doctor also cannot say. Doctors say after operation, suppose a person is blind from birth, and he was examined ultimately by doctors, a group of doctors, and they found that yes, if we operate his eyes, he will be able to see. And they operate also. And now all the stitches and everything removed. And doctor said, we have done your operation, it was successful, just open your eyes. He said, you give me guarantee. That then, because if I open my eyes, if I am not able to see, it will be a big blow. What doctors will say? Doctor will call a nurse and said, tie his hands now. And he will forcefully open his eyelids. That's the only thing. An eye specialist cannot give a guarantee whether his eyes are able to. He has to employ his own eyes to see. Same way here. The means of any given means of knowledge is able to give the knowledge or not, you have to employ it. You have to expose yourself to the teaching ultimately. And what are the requirements? They are there for preparedness, etc. You should try to fulfill them. Then you see that the given means of knowledge works. So these are doubt pertaining to the shravanam, etc., pertaining to actually the means of knowledge. We call it pramana samshaya, etc. So they are addressed in a shravanam. And other doubts also resolve that Shastra's central theme is a identity between Jiva and Ishvara. And therefore, I am Brahman. Well, that is the purport of the Shastra, not any other purport. I am a part of the whole, part of Narayana, etc., or part of Ishvara, or Jiva and Ishvara are totally different, etc. That is not the purport of the Shastra. Even those statements may be there here and there in the Upanishad, they are resolved by the teacher for the sake of student. So this is so in your mind, this is clear. The Shastra gives you the knowledge of the identity between Jiva and Ishvara. Now the second part resolves, called Mananam, resolves certain other doubts. Even though you gain knowledge through Shastra with a repeated exposure and your study, you now gain the knowledge the Shastra is telling me that I am Brahman. Fine. No doubt. Regarding Shastra, that Shastra reveals this, that I am Brahman. But still there are doubts. Other doubts, which has to be addressed. So even though the knowledge is given to you by the Shastra, it has not get converted into your own conviction. A knowledge which is fraught with a certain doubt, well, it will not result into a conviction. And knowledge fraught with a doubt is as good as ignorance. Suppose a wire is, this was an example by Swami Chinmayanji. Once he used to give this example. Suppose a wire is hanging, electric wire is hanging with an open end. If you ask me, Swami, is it a live wire or it is a dead? And if I tell you 99% it is dead, still you will not touch. Even though I told you 99%, but 1% I kept for a doubt, you will not touch. Even though I gave you a knowledge, Swami's statement, but you won't take it as a valid statement. Even if I say you touch it, 99% it is dead, you will not touch. So even 1% doubt also, well, keep you as, you are ignorant of whether it is live or dead. You still remain like that. You don't touch it at all. Therefore, this knowledge, should be made, which we gain through shravanam, should be made free from further doubts. What are the doubts? Well, this teaching is very extraordinary, and therefore doubts are also extraordinary. Doubts pertaining to what? Teaching pertaining to what? Teaching pertaining to three things: Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. And all of them are one Brahman alone, ultimately. One Brahman alone manifest in form of Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. And therefore, the doubts also are pertaining to all the three. Jiva means oneself, the individual. Even though Shastra tells you are Brahman, the immediate question comes is, Swamiji, I don't feel I am Brahman. I don't feel I am Brahman. Why? Why do you say so? Because Shastra says the Brahman is which is free from birth and death, najayate mriyate va ajonitya shashvatoyam purana, etc. Well, I have taken birth. I am growing old. I celebrated my birthday, this, that, etc. I am subject to death. That's how I'm planning something with my savings, because after a few years I won't be there. I want to give money to my children. I'm planning everything. So I am subject to birth, subject to death. I am old, etc. This. And Shastra says you are free from birth and death, etc. So even though you don't have a doubt pertaining to the Shastra says you are Brahman, that you don't have a doubt. But you are not able to convince yourself that you are Brahman. Could you follow what I'm saying? Shastra says you don't have that doubt regarding what Shastra says, but you are not convinced. I don't feel I am Brahman. When feeling, once you say the feeling comes, then knowledge, etc. has no place. In fact, every feeling is Brahman, frankly speaking. Anyway, so my point is this is one doubt pertaining to oneself. Jiva. Pertaining to Jagat, there is a doubt. The Jagat which you interact with, that Jagat is is solid, real for us. And all the names and forms are real for us. Behind that there is formless Brahman, all-pervading Brahman, which is the reality, and form is mithya, apparent. I am not able to accept. Could you follow? So regarding Jagat also, we have a doubt. Regarding Ishvara also we have a doubt. Ishvara has a doubt means I and Ishvara are identical. The difference between me and the Ishvara is apparent. Is also I am not able to accept. So regarding Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, whatever the doubts I have, or whatever my own concepts, let us say, were there, still I am not able to get rid of them. Even though I am exposed to this teaching, and you are convinced that Shastra's purport is this, there is one Brahman which manifests in all of these things, that's the reality, everything. But no. And these are the doubts in the intellect. That is where you absorb this teaching. That is where this obstacle is. So basically it's pertaining to the intellect of those doubts. You have to resolve with a further thinking, because this is due to perhaps a non-thinking or improper thinking. You have to resolve it further with the help of more thinking. Well, you have to expose yourself to certain prakarana granthas also, where they create these doubts, resolve these doubts, etc. And that is where so Mananam also will ultimately make you free from this thing. No experience, extraordinary experience, etc. can remove intellectual problem, doubts, etc. Anyway, so this can be solved only by right thinking. Even samadhi, etc., which is an extraordinary experience, cannot remove the doubt. That is how those who have propounded Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, like Ashtanga Yoga, etc., Patanjali, etc., there they have very clearly mentioned, in fact in Yoga Sutras they have given a clear definition of Jiva and Ishvara, totally different from each other. So, even though they talk about Nirvikalpa Samadhi, etc., but Jiva and Ishvara are totally different. Well, that philosophy, that stays there. Therefore, Nirvikalpa Samadhi resolves all my doubt and I will understand I am basically Ishvara, I am Brahman. Well, will not happen. And like Nirvikalpa Samadhi, we have an experience of a deep sleep state, where all the Vikalpas division resolve. But when we get up, we get up again, same ignorant person. Even from Nirvikalpa Samadhi, person comes out, they call Utthanam. Well, you may have an exalted experience of like free from any division. When you come out of it, you will again see the same world different from yourself. You see the another individual different from yourself. And therefore, ultimately, the knowledge only resolves it. And in that, if you are not able to get convinced, well, further exposure to the teaching, will ultimately resolve it. So this is Mananam. So confusion or doubts have gone now. Certain doubts have gone in the shravanam. Certain doubts have gone in the Mananam. So far as this knowledge is concerned, you are free from any confusion now. Still, you see that with the clarity of knowledge, you gain this clarity, and yet you transact in the world. Well, you find that you are only this physical body. Dehatma buddhi continues. Right? It just continues. They say, all Swamis used to joke that as you gain clarity here, you are Brahman, etc. Well, our teachers all, propound it, and you understand it, you are convinced. But as you walk out and wear the shoes, well, immediately comes, I am body only. So there is some other issue, which is also should be resolved before we assimilate, before we own up this thing. And that is called orientation. Confusion and orientation are two different things. Confusion can resolve orientation can persist. And I can give you this example. Like, suppose you use a wrong key, to unlock the door, you immediately understand the confusion because the door did not get opened. And so, now you choose a right key, and ultimately the confusion is resolved. But suppose a door gets, sealed off. The same door is sealed off now, and wall is erected behind that door. And now that this is not a functional door, but for few days, you still go there and try to open the door. So now confusion is not there. This is called an orientation. You have only done it. I mean, you basically told someone, a mason, etc., to create a wall behind, and because you don't want that door to remain open, functional. So you did it. But at the same time, ultimately it happens so that you still go there. And there are other examples which happens to me and maybe to other person also. You know what is right and what is left, everything. There is no confusion. Yet, while going in a car, before you sit, myself always go to the driver's seat. Then you're always the person who, takes me. He said, Swamiji, on the other side you have to. So this is orientation. There is no confusion what is right and left. There is a right-hand drive there and left-hand drive here, or etc. is very clear. Yet it happens. So here also shravanam, mananam has resolved all the doubts, confusion is gone. Knowledge is clear, yet orientation. Orientation means a habit. And here it is not simply habit, it's a habitual error now. Because the ignorance is beginningless, so taking any body as oneself also is beginningless. So it's a well-entrenched habit, but which is error. You know also it is an error, because you have clarity now. So you know this is an error occurring, but it is occurring. Could you follow? So one has to deorient oneself. And for that deorientation, what is required is a contemplation. You have to basically stay with the teaching. Yeah. You stay with the teaching. Staying with the teaching in two different ways. Could be three different ways. First is, very beautifully Yoga Vasishtha said, Tat Chintanam, Tat Kathanam, Anyonyam, Tat Prabodhanam, Etadeka Paratvam cha, Brahmabhyasam Vidurbuddha. Abhyasa means a practice. Here Brahmabhyasa means basically teaching pertaining to Brahman, pertaining to Atma. You practice that teaching again and again. And Vasishtha ji says very beautifully, Tat Chintanam. So dwelling upon the teaching again and again, listening again and again, writing the notes, reading your own notes again and again. All are there ultimately make you help to stay with the teaching. Then Tat Kathanam. Tat Kathanam. Tat Kathanam could be taken as a teaching. Yeah. Maybe, because you have gained a certain capacity, now you understand the whole thing. You have a clarity also for assimilation, for owning up, to get rid of this orientation. You can start a teaching also. Anyonyam Prabodhanam. Discussion with the peers. Like they form a certain group, right? Study group and all that. So Tat Chintanam, Tat Kathanam, Anyonyam, Tat Prabodhanam. So repeated listening, writing notes, reading your own notes, etc., or discussion with others, teaching, various forms. All these forms ultimately help you. They are all Nididhyasanam, Brahmabhyasa. All this help you to stay with the teaching. When you stay with the teaching, teaching percolates. Like that Rashagulla. Mind is like a Rashagulla. And if you want that rasa should pervade in the entire body of that gulla, Actually, it should be gulla only. Without rasa, it is not rashagulla, but I am saying that. Yeah. So you soak it, right? We soak it for some time. Same way, this is soaking our mind, gulla, with this teaching, rasa. Yeah. And you find, if you stay with the teaching like this in any form, you find that slowly that habit of taking oneself as the body, well, slowly is vanishing. This is owning up. This is one form of Nididhyasanam, contemplation. There is another one also, which is described in Kaivalya Upanishad. You sit formally in a posture of meditation. Even 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita discusses that. Certain preliminary steps of meditation, contemplation you follow first, and then you meditate. And what are those preliminary steps? Well, sitting erect, etc., all this. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayan achalam sthira sampreksha nasikagram swam dishascha anavalokayan. Sit erect, perpendicular to the base of the body. Head and neck and the back all are in a straight line. Close your eyes softly, etc. Head your held straight, etc. That's a posture. Then, second step, keeping external thing external. Because you have to unload them. You want to contemplate upon the self. So then whole world is there inside. Not whole world, but at least the people to whom you are connected, they always remain with you, wherever you go. Right? Your family members, all. Even though physically we are away, I may be in India and people are here, family members, but they will be there all along. They travel with me without tickets. Yeah. Unload them. Unloading. Unloading technique Bhagavan has shown. Very beautiful. And that technique is, bahyan sparshan bahihi krutva. Keeping the external things external. What is this? Bhagavan is keeping external thing external, but they are already external. Who am I to keep them external? No. Things are external and internal too. Yeah. Right? There are certain things which are internal too. In form of what? In form of wish. In form of agenda. Yeah. This person should be like this. This person should be like this. He should behave like that. Some expectation, certain. Well, you drop it at least for time being. Otherwise, they are external, but they are internal too in form of a wish. You have to drop the wish by saying to yourself, what? This is how this person is. He has a certain background, she has a certain background. Person's behavior is always influenced by the background. And background cannot be changed. Background cannot be changed. Like my own behavior is based on a certain background. The background could be of this janma, could be of a past janma also. Background could be of childhood. Nowadays they are saying lot. Anybody's behavior is ultimately due to... That cannot be changed. You may not be knowing your own background. You may be knowing your behavior. May not be knowing the total background. But there is a background which influences behavior of the person. And therefore appreciating the background, give a freedom to the person. This is how the person is. We are not approving anybody's behavior. We are acknowledging that this is how this person is in my perception. And this is your own perception. We should know. Because if you ask about the same person, he will give a different opinion. All possible. Therefore, this is objectivity. Keeping external thing external means certain objectivity. Understanding the thing as it is objectivity. Understanding the object as it is called objectivity. Not superimposing extra on that. Anyway, so this is, then now your mind is free from, you have unloaded them. Then for the body also you have certain complaints and this and oh my body, I should have more height, I should be of this color, that, this. My health is not keeping. That also bothers. So at least we want to be free at this time. And so basically you see your own body. Like you visualize a person and give a freedom. you visualize your own body like a living statue and say, this is how my body is in terms of height, age, color, gender, looks, health, etc. When you are able to visualize your own body in a one sweep of vision, you are more or less objective to your body. And then breathing, etc. Watch your own breath, etc. And watching one's own breath also gives a certain composure, etc. It's the easiest technique, in fact. In a waking state, whenever you feel more anxious, angry, etc., well, you just observe your own breath. That's it, for a few seconds. You find that mind has become quiet. Anyway, so that is a step. And then watch one's own mind, ultimately. And one who watches the mind is you, ultimately, the conscious being, who is a witness, ultimately. Anyway, but so we are not going into that. But these are the preliminary steps. Preliminary steps. And then you don't now take the entire teaching, I am Brahman, etc. You address a certain issues, which are certain psychological issues. Everyone may be having. Like first issue is a fear of death. Everyone has fear of death, but some people have a more fear due to some incident they might have undergone, etc. So, well, the fear of death is a bigger issue. Now you take up a part of the teaching which helps you to come out of this fear. What is that? Well, I am basically a timeless Brahman. You are already clear now. But you take that part, not the entire teaching. That I am, well, basically a timeless Brahman. The time derives its existence from me, etc., etc. Well, in absence of time, I do exist, I know very well, and therefore I am not time-bound. If I am time-bound, well, there is a death of me, etc. So, this is one. There are certain issues. Some people have an issue in relating to the people. Anywhere they relate, immediately within no time, the relation breaks. Because it's certain issues inside. So then you have to, and that bothers you. That bothers you. People also advise, we have maintained the relation, what happens to you? You are not able to interact properly with the people and this and that. So now you want to address that. It bothers you. So this teaching only is a blessing for this. You find, well, you have already learned you are a sangatma. You are unconnected to anything, basically. Everything is ultimately mithya, and therefore the relationship, well, which was bothering you, etc., will not bother. This is a second thing. Like that, there are several things. Somebody has some fear, different other fear kind of a thing. Well, so I'm not going into detail, but so this is also a Nididhyasanam. And this is called Samadhi Abhyasa. Samadhi means focusing. Abhyasa means practice. So you focus not on the entire teaching, you focus on a certain part of the teaching depending upon your own issues in the waking state. So you address and get rid of these issues and assimilate this knowledge. Ultimately, it's again same assimilation. I am Nityaha, etc. I am Asangaha, etc. So this is Nididhyasanam. The third thing is a very beautifully, that there is a description of a wise person who has owned up this knowledge. There is a description in the Shastra. In the 13th chapter, it is there. In the 14th chapter, I think also there. In the 2nd chapter, Sthita Prajna section, there is a description. Now, those descriptions, even though we know that those characteristics of a wise person I don't have, yet you fake it as if you have, really. Fake it till you make it. Once you start faking it, then you find it has started germinating. Yeah. And therefore, well, definitely this is a third thing. And this is how even some children, when they come here, they don't have value for this, doing namaskara to God or to Swamis, all Swamis. And do prostration. They do mechanically. But in a course of time, I have found when they grown up and they again come here, independently or with parents, etc., Now they do it without even their parents tell them, and with respectfully they do. So faking earlier it was a faking, just mechanically, but it has now become a real, So this is same way here. A characteristic of a wise person are not in me, because I have not assimilated knowledge, but as if I have assimilated knowledge, and I am a wise person. You need not have to tell others that I am a wise person, but this is a principle Puja Swami used to say, and it works so well. Fake it till you make it. Maybe this is a maybe ageless principle. But anyway, now this is Nididhyasanam. We should have a certain clarity about Nididhyasanam. Is the purpose of Nididhyasanam is that it doesn't give you moksha. We should be very clear about it. If I do Nididhyasanam, well, moksha will be the product of it. No. Moksha is your own nature ultimately. So Nididhyasanam doesn't give moksha first. You are already free. And therefore, ultimately, but Swamiji, if I am free, but I said that I take myself as as a body, etc. I take myself as a limited being. That's true. But that's an error, that also you know. And you want to get rid of this error. For that purpose, you do ultimately this contemplation. Not that you want to become free. And if you do Nididhyasanam, you will become free. No. You are already free. But you commit an error of taking body as yourself and feeling it bound, etc. So you are in that process of contemplation. You basically getting rid of an habitual error. Not that you will become free after the meditation, etc. Contemplation. This is one. So moksha is not a future event, etc., which happens. Moksha is your own nature ultimately. If it is a future event, well, then it will go away also. What comes in time will go in time. We should be very clear about it. The second thing is, moksha is not meant for knowledge also. Knowledge we have gained through shravanam, right? So that is, moksha is not meant for knowledge. Third, the Nididhyasanam is not meant for knowledge also. Shravanam is there for the knowledge. Nididhyasanam is not meant for proving the knowledge, validating knowledge, that Mananam alone, where you remove the doubts. Shastra says that's fine, but I was not convinced. Well, so through Mananam, repeated shravanam, etc., and allowing oneself to study further, well, one will be able to get convinced. So you will be able to validate the knowledge. That's Mananam actually, not here. And the third thing is, this Nididhyasanam, etc., is not for gaining some kind of an extraordinary experience also. Extraordinary experience, any experience has a certain object. So extraordinary experience has an extraordinary object. Ordinary experience has an ordinary object. And so definitely extraordinary experiences are possible, extraordinary powers may be possible, but Shankaracharya ji accepts it, but it has no concern with this knowledge basically. Could you follow? So there are 4 types of people in the world. There are people who are having this knowledge, wise people. At the same time, they may be having certain powers. You may find certain history. But that power because they were having a yogic background. Yoga talks about the siddhis, ashtasiddhi, etc. And so they may be having before a certain yogic background. Because of that, they may be having certain extraordinary powers. But then they turn to Vedanta, and now they have gained knowledge, and they are wise people. So there are one group who are jnanis and as well as siddha. You can say mystic or having extraordinary powers. There are another one who are just jnanis. No other extraordinary powers. This is second. Third group of people is, there are people who are mystic, means they have extraordinary powers, but no jnanam. Like Ravana. So many powers. As per the description, he was having extraordinary powers. Many asuras, in fact. Why? Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakshan, all were having many powers. Asuras, somehow they were having many powers. They acquired it. Well, there are Anyway, they were interested in. But no jnanam, no self-knowledge. Otherwise, Ravana would not be Ravana, right? So, this is the third. And the fourth thing is people like us. No jnanam, no siddhi. Well, no problem. We are in a process. Okay? So, these are four different groups of people. And so, this is also, we should be clear, if I am doing Samaji contemplation early morning, etc., will I experience something extraordinary? Well, no. And even if you are experiencing, well, that has no concern with this knowledge. Anyway, now what is a sign of assimilation? That's a big thing. How will I know that I am really on a correct path of assimilation? Sign of assimilation will, you will be able to catch that thing when you interact with the world. Because ultimately, a living person has to relate to the world. And you also want that knowledge will help me in my interaction. That is where we always say that if it is not able to help in interaction or relating to the world, we say, Swamiji, it is not practical, even though it is there here in my head, everything, but it has not come to my use. You will say the same thing. So the sign of assimilation you will find in your interaction with the world, in your responses to the world. Yeah. If your response is still of the reactions, right? Anger, jealousy, whatever. I mean, a sign of a sense of competition with others, etc. Well, any, or greed, then the knowledge has not really percolated yet. But well, definitely, if you are in a process of assimilation, the responses into the situation, to the world, would be of a different type. Where you will find that earlier, before this assimilation, before doing Nididhyasanam, etc., well, you were the same angry person, getting angry 5 times a day. Now you find at least 3 times. Really? 3 times a day, 2 times a day. Swamiji will totally free from anger. I would not say that. I would not say that. This is the thing. Then the second thing is, so that is how the number of times where you were getting angry or other things, it is reducing. Even the intensity of the emotion, which was in form of a response to the world, also reduce. Earlier you were getting angry, well, our neighbors also were knowing. Now that intensity also decreases. And third thing is a recovery from that emotion. Recovery from the anger, recovery from the jealousy was quick. Yeah. So basically you will be able to understand a sign of assimilation, proper assimilation, is understand in terms of your response, emotional response. One who relates to the world is an emotional being. Could be emotionally mature, like a wise person, could be emotionally mature. What is there as an intellectual being, that is there. But one who relates is an emotional being. Anyone. And so if this, due to this knowledge, if there is a certain maturity, then this kind of reactions would be less. Wise person is emotionally mature person. So one can understand this. And so his mind, definitely, her mind, whoever is in a process of assimilation and owning up, definitely now his mind, her mind will be more healthy, naturally, because the reactions are less. But you, like even a healthy body sometimes feels sick, same way this healthy mind can sometimes has this emotion manifest in mind, but he will neutralize it instantly. Maybe, a jealousy arises in mind, anger may arise, because past samskaras, past experiences, well, it can arise, but he will definitely neutralize it immediately. It just vanishes because of this knowledge, inner strength, inner immunity. So like even a physical immunity you have, Healthy body you have, yet sometimes you fall sick, but you can recover faster. Same way this inner immunity, the knowledge is there, assimilated knowledge is there. Because of that, such kind of a ill health, this responses, emotions, certain reactions may arise, it will vanish. So that's how Bhagavan describes this Jnani as a Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha, Sthitadihi Muni Uchyate. So he's free from Raga, Krodha, etc., fear. Well, we should understand free means it will not arise, that kind of a thing is not there. It may arise, but he is able to neutralize because for him actually it is a mithya. So it just arises and vanishes in the light of this inner immunity. Because of this inner immunity, it just goes away. So this is how the process of Nididhyasanam. So, well, Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, the sannyasis or the grihasthas who are free from ragadvesha and vikshepa, etc., and now they have a committed lifestyle to knowledge. What are they doing? Well, this is what they do. Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Even repeated Shravanam also can become a Nididhyasanam. Initially you are in a process of understanding, gaining clarity. After gaining clarity, if you are listening again, wherever the word Atma, Chit, Brahman comes, you immediately say, I. That's assimilation. That's the process of assimilation, owning up. So, Sureshwaracharya says, one need not sit in a formal posture of meditation. One can even listen again and again, while will be a process of assimilation. So this is how Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam I could not discuss, but you know Karma Yoga I have not to discuss much. So this is what the verse is about. Lokesmin Dvidanishta Pura Prokta Mayanaga Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.